I was too pretty to be a ramp model.
Really?
Too short to be a ramp model. You should just do commercials and Bollywood. And Bollywood would be said to me like, it's a bad thing. प्रॉब्लम तो इसकी लाइफ में होने वाली है ना, तो अभी तो इसके ऊपर डिवोर्सी का टैग लगने वाला है.
Exactly. In life, as a human being, you will be socially questioned several times for your actions. As a woman, even more. Today, I have a woman joining us for a conversation who has always challenged those taboos in the society. Joining us for a conversation today is Dia Mirza, a beauty pageant winner, an actor, and a humanitarian. How are you?
I'm good.
This had to happen. Tell me something, Dia. When you started modeling, what were the kind of, did you face any kind of judgment? Because it always happens, like, you know,
Of
and
course.
especially in the 90s, it was
Of
like
course.
a
I was
thing.
too short to be a model. I was too pretty to be a ramp model.
Really?
Too short to be a ramp model. You should just do commercials and Bollywood. And Bollywood would be said to me like, it's a bad thing. It's really the tone that people use
True.
to convey things sometimes that can either become a compliment or an insult.
True. It's how you say it. It's
how
not about what
it.
you say.
It's not always what you're saying. It's how you say it. So it's also so many times that, oof, yaar, you're too pretty. Is it a bad thing?
This is the first that I've heard.
Yeah. So I'll even tell you, I was in Bangalore. I just started modeling. मैं बस पकड़ के बैंगलोर जाती थी, overnight journey करती थी. वहाँ पे पहुँच के I would go do my photo shoots, and this amazing lady called Anila Anand, who used to run an agency, she would get me these print jobs and stuff. तो Quality Walls ice cream का print campaign कर लिया, ये कर लिया, वो कर के. लेकिन मेरी तमन्ना थी कि मैं ये बहुत बड़े जो fashion coordinator हैं, उनके fashion shows में हिस्सा लूँ. And this is great pocket money, you know. I was really enjoying the financial independence it was giving me. But this guy was this semi-god, like demigod, you know, this model coordinator in Bangalore. And I really wanted to work with him. And he was so rude to me. He made me feel so
Small,
tiny
yeah.
and so
Unimportant.
and invisible. And I remember thinking to myself, I can't be that bad.
What did he do? Did he say anything? Did he behave badly with you?
No, he basically made me feel like I was just not good enough for the job that I was applying for, which was the opportunity to be a part of fashion shows. Then, of course, after I won Miss India, I did many fashion shows with him.
Did the perception change? Did you ever bring that up?
He was my fan after that. You're a fighter. I always knew you would make me proud. I'd be like, yes, of course.
That's the biggest validation.
It doesn't matter. I would smile at him and say thank you.
Things were very bad back then. Like a lot of actors back from that generation, because I have grown up watching those films. They have actually said about and spoken about the rampant sexism that used to happen. Have you been a victim to that? Have you faced it?
I sensed sexism first and most dominantly was when I stepped out of home and started working. जब आप अपने घर से बाहर निकल के काम करना शुरू करते हैं, and you start working, especially in an industry where the gender balance on a film set is not very there. Doesn't
not
exist.
there.
Now, of course, our
changing.
film crews are much more gender balanced than they were when I started out, which was 19 years ago. I felt it when I saw the hierarchy of how a male actor was treated in comparison with a female actor on a film set. The hierarchies of just the support that and the flexibility offered to our male counterparts.
True.
You know, that didn't exist so much for us. We would have to wake up 2 hours before we needed to be on our set, get into hair and makeup, go through that whole paraphernalia, and then we would wait endlessly for our co-actors to sometimes even show up, and it was okay.
A friend of mine and their parents are, I wouldn't name, but their parents are not really happy together, but they have survived and they have just kept at it because of the kids. And today they are grown up, so they realize the differences and they feel that, you know, sometimes they feel guilty.
But it's so subjective, man.
That's also
It's
true.
also such a personal decision. I mean, as a child also, I remember seeing what a struggle it was for both my parents to accommodate to and adjust to the idea of not being together. Because they cared for each other deeply, they loved
Yeah.
each other even. They just couldn't live together because they wanted different things from life. Sometimes that happens, and that can become a deep area of. I know this for a fact that even today, despite the fact that both my parents moved on and married other people,
Yeah.
and my stepfather, and I hate using the word stepfather because he may
Yeah.
not have been my biological father, but he was an exemplary human being, an influence in my life. And he never treated me anything else but as an individual and as a friend. So I remember when my father passed away, my mother going through the whole process of mourning his death for as long as it took for her to, and my stepfather bearing witness to it with so much grace and love and kindness and generosity, because he valued the fact that my mother cared so deeply for another human being still. And that doesn't mean that, and it never meant that she loved him less or he was less of a partner in her life.
True.
Because I mean, I always say this, that my mother is a hero. And I think for children, their mothers are
yeah.
their heroes, right?
True.
She's
Agree.
my hero because no matter what, she's been through so much in life. She's lost 2 husbands. Her life has gone through such a journey. But she's always held her own, and she's never allowed any human relationship that has hurt her to define or alter her values negatively. And I think that is the sum total of how I have learned to perceive life. Because डर तो लगता है बॉस, डर कैसे नहीं लगेगा किसी इंसान को अगर मैं आपसे कह दूं कि जिस आदत से आपको मैं अलग करने वाली हूँ, it's co-inhabiting
yeah.
space
It's a habit.
is not just a deep connection and a relationship, it's also a very deep habit. And it takes time. Time tells you everything that it needs to.
But you know, when you were growing up, like you said, and I read that, and I actually felt very nice about it, that you had a very, very deep and fond relationship with your other father. It's amazing because these are not stories that happen every day, you know. And I think these.
It didn't happen overnight.
Did you?
It took time. It took a lot of time for me to accept him as a parent in some capacity.
I was coming to that.
But I think what he did very intelligently was that he first befriended me. He made me his friend. I was his friend for life.
Yeah.
Nothing broke my heart more than leaving Hyderabad when I was 18 than was to leave his home and his care and just his wisdom. The things he has told me, I remember till today. And I remember these of my biological father as well. You know, little life lessons they gave me. And I think also what happens is when you lose parents when you're very young. I lost my biological father when I was 9. I lost my stepfather when I was 23. And both men had such a deep impact in my understanding of life.
But you know, when it happens to you at such a tender age, when you were growing up, did you ever question it? Did you have how did they break the news to you? Wasn't it difficult for you to register it when it happened?
Of course, it was complicated, it was unusual, it was difficult. But I think it's the fact that they took the time to explain themselves to me and to treat me like an individual. उन्होंने मुझे बैठा के बहुत सारी बातें धीरे धीरे अपने लैंग्वेज में ऐसे समझाई कि you know, you feel socially different क्योंकि आपके classmates के सब parents एक साथ होते हैं, sports days, suddenly the rhythm of sports days changes, or things change around you, and then you have to adapt to all those changes as a person. You know, नयन, ऐसा भी होता है कभी कभी जब हम ऐसी बातें करते तो लोगों को लगता है कि हम सेपरेशन या डिवोर्स को प्रोपगेट कर रहे हैं.
Yeah, exactly. That's
बिल्कुल
what I
भी
was coming
नहीं.
to, that it's not
बिल्कुल
that.
भी नहीं.
It's not that.
It's not that at all. क्योंकि God knows how wonderful it is, and I am witness to how wonderful it is when relationships work.
Yeah.
We all know how
Of
wonderful
course.
it is. But if they don't,
It can wreck you like anything.
for a reason,
Yeah.
it should never be the cause of pain to more people than the two people involved,
True. True.
for the sake of protecting those more people.
But do you think that this, because you've gone through this gave you strength to deal with your own separation?
I don't know, maybe. But I think that what gives you strength in any circumstance, आप लाइफ के कोई भी स्टेज पे हो, is your understanding of yourself. आपको खुद की समझ होनी बहुत ज़रूरी है. अगर खुद की समझ ना हो तो फिर लाइफ के में जो भी आपके साथ हो रहा है उसको ठीक से परसीव करना या उसको ठीक से समझ पाना बहुत मुश्किल हो जाता है.
True. True.
Because then you're just being dishonest, not only to other people but to yourself.
But Diya, even after 20 years when times have passed, do you feel that the society is somewhere still the same? And I remember this interview where you said that after you decided to separate, when you went into a room full of people, they looked at you differently and
Yeah.
that bothered you.
Yeah, it amused me. It still amuses me. It amuses me because you're moving in circles where people are educated and they're progressive, but they still feel a sense of sadness. So yeah, they respond from a place of empathy as well.
Yeah.
So the gaze is not necessarily critical. It's empathetic. It's sometimes even pitiful.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's a gaze of awe and admiration. I get so many messages from women who are going through similar circumstances saying, how are you so strong? How do you smile? How do you get up and go to work every day? How are you doing this? And I don't have an answer for them. I just tell them that, you know, I find my way and I hope you will find yours, because I can't tell you what is the right way.
True. But do you think the taboo is slowly shifting? Like there are certain things that were considered taboo in the 90s, like completely. Like ये
I
तो
mean,
बात ही
think
नहीं हो
about Taapsee's
सकती है ना.
character in Thappad. One of the big points or one of the most
Yeah.
sharp dialogues and moments in the scene is कि प्रॉब्लम तो इसकी लाइफ में होने वाली है ना, तो अभी तो इसके ऊपर डिवोर्सी का टैग लगने वाला है.
Exactly.
या हम बहुत हमारे सोसाइटी में बहुत ऐसे लोग हैं इन ऑल रंग्स ऑफ सोसाइटी जो बहुत गहरी तरह से इस बात को समझने से डरते हैं, बट और ये भी समझते हैं कि डिवोर्स इज़ अ कन्वीनियंट वे आउट.
True.
It's an excuse not to adapt,
Yeah.
to compromise. Life, relationships, yes, you have to adapt. Yes, there are compromises. But the question is, when does it stop? How much is too much and how less is too little?
Yeah.
That's a personal choice. We all know
People. Yeah.
people, men as well.
Yes.
This is not a gender specific problem.
True.
This is a societal issue. Men are just as much a victim, and now I will use the word victim, to fear.
Shah Rukh sir was doing this interview in Dear Zindagi, I remember, and he said that there were so many times that his friends had to go through a personal problem in their marriages, and he was the one who tried to bind them, but there are a lot of other friends who would do it with a different intent, like, you know, like again the judgment that, oh, you know, जैसे तापसी के character को बोलते हैं कि, you know, she will get the tag of the divorcee. Have you faced that? Has ever Has anybody ever done that to you? Maybe not the ones who have actually meant it in good stead.
It's a process, okay? So different people will respond to it very differently. People who love you as a couple respond to it differently.
Yes.
People who are outside the house who love you as a couple respond to it very differently. Your individual friends who know you intimately as a couple will respond to it differently. Your parents will respond to it differently. And I think what you can just hope and pray for is that eventually everybody will understand and respect
The space.
the space and the decision that two people have made,
Yeah.
with dignity and respect and love for each other. And I think that's what defines everything.
There is a different beauty standard that the society has set, especially for women. And you have never done that. You have challenged beauty standards, and how from the time you started off. Was that always something that you veered towards?
Nayan, I don't know about beauty standards, but I do know about how real I like to keep life. I think even so, we know how many pressures this industry comes with.
True.
Being an actor, being a public personality, the expectation around looking a certain way. Beauty judgments are many, okay? And while we think that light-skinned women have no judgments to deal with, I'll share a very funny one. This filmmaker who I love and respect and I really wanted to work with once told me, "Yaar, you're too fair to be in my movies." And then I've also heard some people say, "You're too pretty to play this part." But
that's ridiculous.
no, but that's also the same thing. It's all social conditioning.
True.
It goes straight back to the fact that we keep identifying people and putting them into a box when
True.
actually everyone is capable of being much more
Much
than
beyond
we
that,
ever
yeah.
allow them to be, because we're so insistent on putting them in that box.
True.
And I feel like so many women in the industry now have been just breaking
At it.
that box.
Yeah.
Right?
Thank you for this conversation. But on that note, we'll move on to the second segment, which is a fun game.
Okay.
It's called Women We Love.
Yeah.
So it's about, like, women we love. So we are back with Dia Mirza, and we have the fun
Who's
round.
biting her nails now.
So basically, there are 7 placards. Out of 7, you have to pick 5, and
Okay.
you answer 3 correctly, and you get a gift. So some are really easy, some
East
are
and
a little
West.
difficult, but I think you'll get there. So the first is guess the movie from the plot line. You should be able to do this. An adult film actress gets drawn to a life of fame, glitz and glamour, only to realize that she's completely lost control of her life. She tries to revive her failing career amid several industry politics, but she fails. Gets drawn
Sounds
to...
like fashion though.
Fashion is about models, no? Not actors.
Oh, okay. Is it a Kareena Kapoor film?
No. So it's Vidya Balan's movie.
Oh! Wait.
दिया को cheating करना भी नहीं आता, by the way, guys. The dirty picture.
Oh, yes.
Vidya Balan, please look. Your
No,
producer
I
didn't
knew
know
it.
this.
I knew it. I was just, listen, 1 second. I went to a J. Krishnamurti school. I don't respond to competition. There's a reason why I never entered a rat race.
Okay, so the second one is a guess who. It's about a women.
You are answering
woman.
everything.
Woman.
I will
athlete.
ask you to answer.
I know the answers.
No, I'm asking you to answer.
I am the captain of the Indian women's cricket team.
You're the captain of the ship.
No, this person, this sportswoman is the captain of the Indian women's cricket team, and I have often made headlines for voicing out
Mithali.
against. Yes, Mithali Raj. Okay, this is also easy. Guess the film from the 3 clues: boxing gloves, Manipur, gold medal.
Arey yaar, Mary Kom.
This is also very easy. Guess who? I'm a foreigner actress who's made her mark in Bollywood. I was born in Hong Kong and I got my first break when the director spotted me at a fashion show in London.
Lisa Ray.
In 2020, I will have spent 17 years in the industry. She's an A-list actress, like a very top actress.
Katrina क्या?
Yes. Name 4 in 6 seconds, okay? Name 4 Indian beauty pageant winners.
4. Priyanka Chopra, Lara Datta, Yukta Mukhi, Diana Hayden.
You could have named yourself.
Why
also.
I have to name myself? I'm
But
born.
so Dia has won, and since you have won, this is a small gift from us.
Thank you,
And
man. I love the bag.
thank you.
I love the fact that it's paper. Oh my god. There's lots of treats in here.
Yeah.
Thank
you
you.
so much. And I hope there are more women who come up and challenge them just like you, and more men. Actually, I hope through this show,
Thank you
men
for
come
saying
up
that.
and do that,
Yeah.
because it's really in the order of the day. Thank you so
Thank
much.
you, Nan,
Thank you. It was
for
lovely.
being a man who does acknowledge the challenge in the order, and for having me a part of this, because it can be very intimidating to be a part of certain conversations, because
Yeah.
you really don't know where it's going to go.
Yeah.
And this was a pleasure.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
Thank you so much.
Hi, I'm Dia Mirza, and I've had so much fun having this conversation with Nayan. If you like this video, do share, subscribe, and follow Pinkvilla.